The term domestic violence carries many preconceived definitions. Many tend to exclusively associate the term with physical violence against women. While this is a dominant example, the true meaning of domestic violence is a pattern of abusive behavior in an intimate relationship where one partner tries to control and dominate the other. According to the executive director of the Connecticut Coalition Against Domestic Violence, Karen Jarmock, there exists a complex set of characteristics and circumstances that define domestic violence.
So domestic violence, quite often in many people's view, domestic violence is about the physical abuse. And certainly it is absolutely about the physical abuse. But domestic violence can also be that emotional, verbal, power and control piece that's a little more evasive. For instance, someone who's trying to isolate a person, keep them away from their family and friends, control them financially, don't give them access to money only through you. Control who they're talking with, who they're friends with, texting, 20 times a day, wanting to know where they are and what they're doing. It might even go so far as to put some type of a mechanism underneath a car so you can track where that person is. So that sounds odd, but this is the kind of stuff that happens in these very lethal cases of domestic violence.
In a study completed by the Coalition back in July of 2011, statistical trends confirmed the lethality and variation of domestic violence-related incidents in the state of Connecticut. In many of these cases, death was caused by a firearm. However, knives, blunt physical force, and other unique incidents account for the majority of domestic violence-related fatalities. In keeping with public perception, 87% of these tragedies are endured by the female population. In comparison, only 13% of victims were male. As of July 2011, Hartford County has been designated as the area with the highest concentration of these incidents. It's important to keep in mind that these statistics do not consist solely of random events. There are indeed noticeable trends and patterns that shed light on the prevalence of domestic violence within the state of Connecticut.
With the economy and the recession, there's been a slight rise. I wouldn't call it a spike, but there certainly has been an increase in the number of victims we're serving. Over 54,000 victims annually in the state of Connecticut. That's our numbers for our most recent fiscal year, so 54,000. So what's alarming to me, and as someone who's been involved in this work for more than 20 years, is that we don't see a decrease. We're not seeing a huge spike right now, but there just seems to be a consistent number, a consistent flow of victims. So that's why work in the area of prevention, which we're focusing on now. We're developing a statewide plan for prevention of domestic violence, addressing the prevention issue coupled with the important intervention work is part of our focus and where we're going.
The Connecticut Coalition Against Domestic Violence consists of 18 agencies that offer around-the-clock services and emergency aid. 24-hour hotlines and victim advocacy are just two examples of human services offered by these agencies. In a recent initiative to remain an ever-present source of safe harbor for adolescent victims, the Coalition has created its very own internet application for use with mobile devices.
What we did back in the spring of 2011 is launch and announce an app for iPhones and iPads and Droids, and it's free of charge, and it's TD 411. And it talks about songs and information and statistics and resources, places they can go to get help, those warning signs. Anyone can. You don't have to be a teenager. You can be an educator or a parent to download it. But that's an important app, and I think it was the first in the country.
To contact the Connecticut Coalition Against Domestic Violence regarding any of this information or the services they offer, visit www.ctcadv.org.